I was just telling our vast audience.
I was gone for about an hour, so.
I was telling our vast audience and your clone that you're going to be playing a song by Eddie Van Halen on your guitar.
Oh, yeah.
So go ahead and do that.
Well, unfortunately, a guitar string broke when I was practicing for it today.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
And being Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day. Excuse me. The guitar shop was closed and I could not get my string repaired. So unfortunately, I won't be able to play that for you.
But rest assured, he definitely was going to play that.
I can, and I was going to, and it was very easy to do.
It's incredibly easy to do, I'm sure. Yeah, but you did want to talk about it a little bit, right? The passing of the great guitarist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is the Musical Minute. This is a segment on the podcast called the Musical Minute.
We have segments that just pop up and die off the very next podcast.
Yeah, you got to switch it up. People got very short attention spans.
That's true.
Yeah, Eddie Van Halen died, I guess, last week. From cancer that he was actually battling for, I don't know, like 10 plus years on and off.
Wow. I didn't know that.
I think he had tongue cancer, and that eventually spread and reappeared in other places and just continued to get worse. But he toured throughout, and I don't think a lot of people really knew, A, that he had it, or B, the extent that it developed.
Yeah.
But he pretty much chain smoked his entire life. So
I was going to ask.
you'd probably put it down to that. But he was one of the greatest guitarists to ever live, I think, and he was one of my favorites just because of how unique his style was, his sound was. It's one thing to be good, but it's another thing to just hear a guitar sound and know who that person is. And he was one of those artists.
Definitely.
So I definitely appreciated his music from a very young age, and actually was fortunate enough to see Van Halen in 2007 at the Greensboro Coliseum. Mm-hmm. And this was actually the tour that David Lee Roth came back on, who's the original lead singer of Van Halen. He hadn't been with them since 1985, and then they announced they were going to do a tour in 2007, 2008. And I got tickets, and I went to their second show. I just looked up the dates again, and Charlotte was their very first show, and then they went to Greensboro, and then they did about 50 more dates into the next year, and then they continued to tour as that band. As his brother is the drummer, Alex Van Halen, and his son played bass ever since that tour up until their most recent one. So he was very much like family first, which is why they kind of ran through a lot of different singers. Well, not a lot, but they had a lot of problems with David Lee Roth initially, and Sammy Hagar joined Van Halen in the late 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. Eddie Van Halen was one of the greatest. And yeah, I've got a little clip here from his famous guitar solo. That was a track on their first album called Eruption. And this is him doing it live, and just really unique style of playing.
Cool. That's that is my favorite. I mean, that's my favorite guitar solo of his. Granted, I don't know like a whole lot of them. I know a few of their songs,
Hmm.
but not a ton of them. But yeah, that's you hear that and you're like, yep, that's definitely Van Halen.
Yeah, yeah, like almost otherworldly sound, and then the style of the tapping, you know, on the fret,
Hmm.
um, instead of actually like picking it, was kind of new at that time, and was able to give him like that really fast, but really, I don't know, like outer space type
Yeah,
elegant sound still, even though it's very fast. So it's just really cool. And sucks to lose another musical legend, but like I said, the music will always live on forever just because it was so good. So there it is.
yeah. Eddie Van Halen. He was 60 something, right? Late 60s?
65, I think.
65, mid 60s. Wow. Ooh, man. I it's kind of strange for me to think that he I mean his original cancer diagnosis was tongue cancer. You'd think you'd notice that pretty early on if your tongue is starting to look a little
Yeah,
weird.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, he had a big portion of his tongue removed apparently,
Uh-huh.
and then that got it, and then I think it had just, it was cleared up, and then it reappeared
Mhm.
somewhere else, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, but I'd have to imagine it, you know, the years of hard living, partying, and smoking probably contributed, but I'm sure he had, you know, life experiences that very few people on the planet would have had. So
Volunteering,
volunteering, yeah,
helping the youth.
passing out pamphlets,
Or
things like that. Not
passing
many
out in
people.
other ways.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there are some wild tales of Van Halen tours in the 80s and 90s that it's just yeah, I mean it's just back when you had that rock and roll lifestyle, and if you didn't do that, you weren't cool. So you just had to basically pound a bottle of Jack Daniels while on stage and rip a bunch of cocaine lines. And while he's doing that solo, the lead singer's underneath the stage having sexual relations with young women, and
Mm,
it's wild. It was just a wild time.
yeah. Yeah. A lot of bands went through that kind of stuff.